Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, October 31st. I'm Jane Johnston, and I have today on the Victoria Real Estate Show with.
Good morning, everybody. It's Andrew Plank with the Vibe Real Estate Group. And
Jen Lowe, mortgage broker with DLC Modern Mortgage Group.
How was your week, you guys?
Good week? Yeah. Pretty good week. Got some people unconditional on their homes and handing over keys and all the good stuff. And like the happy stuff in real estate in the last week. So
How about you, Jen, with the 0.5 interest rate deduction or whatever you call it? Have things changed for you?
Yep, most definitely. Lots of people wanting to do that refinance. They're just increased confidence with interest rates coming down.
I feel that too, the confidence as well. Yeah.
that's such a key factor in all of this is the confidence.
Yeah. And, optimism, I guess, is a better word.
Mhm.
And enthusiasm.
Okay, well, let's see if this is actually panning out here. First of all, if you do like our show, please subscribe to us. We are on every Thursday morning at 9:30. We're live on YouTube. Andrew is in my YouTube, and please subscribe there. Also, please comment. If you have anything you want us to talk about, please let us know. And don't forget to share this to somebody who may be interested in our topic. Okay, Andrew, go ahead, babe.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait a sec. My eyes are getting worse and worse every day. Okay, so today is Halloween. Actually, we're not in our costumes. It is October 31st, 2024, and there have been 249 properties in the last week that listed on the local real estate board in Victoria. 152 properties from the inventory and pool of properties available went pending. 105 properties decreased in price. 3 in price increases, 3 came back on market, 273 transactions at the land title office, and 46 expired properties, 2 withdrawn. So compared to the week before, pretty similar in terms of new listings, 241 versus the 249. Pretty similar in terms of pending properties as well, 152 as opposed to 159. And price decreases also kind of on par. I mean, everything is pretty close other than the solds, which that really varies based on, usually there's more towards the intersection of the 2 months. Yeah. So kind of pretty standard.
I just did the ratio. So it went from, it is 66% this week, 61% last week. So interesting.
Right.
Well, I think because more sales. Andrew just put on a wig.
That's all I got.
Okay, well.
I got. You okay? Jane, what's up?
It's just funny seeing you.
Can we be serious here?
Oh,
it matches
you. It does. It's actually a perfect match.
So a funny story, while we're off topic, is this came in the mail yesterday, or arrived, and my mother-in-law is staying with us, and I walked down the stairs, and she and my partner were involved in a phone call, and I didn't think they'd see me, but I put this on, and I walked past because I was going to go and I was going to try and put it into the ponytail thing, because I'm trying to do like an old man hippie vibe. And anyway, I didn't realize she'd see me, and so she says to Kim, some strange man just walked confidently down the stairs. He's got this big wavy hair, and I swear there's like a man in the house. And Kim's like, you're crazy, Mom. Whatever, you didn't see anything. It no, you had hair. It wasn't Andrew. So, in the bathroom, searching for one of her little hair ties, trying to do this, and she looks around the corners of the glove.
Ah, okay, anyway, we're totally off topic, but I just want to say that if you had hair, you would wear it like that.
I probably, yeah, I'd love to have hair again.
Okay.
It's my hair.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. So let's look at month to date. This is actually as of Monday. So 559 net unconditional sales so far for the month of October 2024. That's compared to 407 in October 2023. So more activity. Interesting. New listings, 1,036. That's compared to 1,100. So down year over year on October 2023, and total active listings 3,172 so far for the month of October, and that's up over last year of 2,756. So we're up in listings, but the sales are moving up too. Which I was kind of wondering if we're going to see a bit of a hike in sales now that
Oh yeah, totally.
the optimism is here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally expected to see that. These drops in the interest rates have reached. It was pretty clear with that last half interest rate point that it would spur on a lot more confidence, which we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And enthusiasm.
Enthusiast. Thank you, Jen.
Speaking of that, Jen, so I wasn't here last week for our talk, but is there talk? I've heard talk of another 0.5 interest rate drop.
Mhm.
Is that true?
Yes, potentially on December 11th. But there's
Wow.
still lots of figures
So-
to come out, the unemployment numbers, inflation, all that will come out prior to that meeting. So that could change. We also have the US election on Tuesday,
Yeah.
which will be very interesting to see what happens. But that is the current prediction.
Huh. What do you think of the BC election impact? Anything? Just a little settling, maybe, that now that we have a decision?
Yeah, it wasn't the way that I was hoping it was going to go, personally, but I don't think it will have much of an impact.
I think it's
Our
it's
local BC politics won't.
it's so split down the middle that
Mhm.
it's probably not going to be. I mean, there's not really a true mandate for a lot of really significant things, and it feels like so that might put the brakes and just make it. I don't anticipate really large dramatic things, other than maybe who knows if there's I don't know what would trigger a new election, but it really depends on some of these recounts and things. I'm more interested in, Jen, what would be the impact on? What do you think the impact would be on interest rates and economy and so on, based on the U.S. election? Because I think that's more large scale, significant
Impact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and it will. It definitely will have an impact because the U.S. Treasury, that impacts our 5-year bond yields. So the current prediction is that variable rates are expected to drastically come down in 2025, and fixed rates are going to start rising in 2025, which makes sense because we're now going to get back where we're supposed to be, where variable rates are lower than fixed. But the effect on the U.S. election and overall economy, that can all have these predictions change our current predictions.
Right. Interesting. Well, I'm renewing soon, so hopefully, yay!
Yes. Yes.
So this is a sidebar question. I just apologize, but and you may or may not know this, Jen, because it has to do with the U.S. mortgage system. But I understand someone in the U.S. can go and buy a house and they get an interest rate, and they're locked in with that rate for the duration of their mortgage, which could be like 25, 30 years. So
Yep.
how does that work if they lock in at a higher rate? And then interest rates come down, do they just then go to the bank and renegotiate? Like, are people always
Yes.
like getting the best of the best and holding on, but if they can get better, then they go lower?
Yep, they can. I've got family in New York actually, so I'm always asking them how their system is, and
Yeah.
yes, they can renegotiate their mortgage. They, similar to us, they would pay a penalty. Their penalties are higher,
Right.
and honestly, their fixed rates are higher than ours.
Okay. Yeah, their penalties would be higher because it's over the span of an entire 25 year pace instead of 3 or 5 years remaining on your current. Okay.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
bank's looking at what they're going to miss out over the 25
Oh,
years.
for sure. For sure.
Right. Yeah.
So what do you know what would be an example of a penalty in the US?
That I don't know, but I will find out the next time I visit my family in New York.
Awesome.
Because I'm curious now. When you were saying that, I was like, what would the
I
penalty
know we
be?
have a few US realtors that do watch this show. So if anybody's out there feels like chiming in, feel free to put something in the chat.
Yeah, I did ask.
Oh, sorry, Jane.
I did ask a U.S. realtor because I was in at a conference recently, and I did ask, why would anybody move? And he's like, well, same reason as normal, like birth, death, divorce, all that, job transfer. But to me, I'd be like, buy and hold if you can right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk. So essentially, we have about 6 weeks left of a really hot market to get into a new home if you want to as a buyer. How do you do that? We're going to talk about that today. So let's get going. These guys, unfortunately, are subjected to my whims as a PowerPoint person.
Great.
Okay.
I
So number
appreciate
one,
it.
Jen, you want to talk about this one?
Yes, get pre-approved for a mortgage. Definitely importance of a pre-approval is what your purchasing power is. It's important for us to do a credit check, make sure there's no surprises, so that we're moving into, you can have the confidence of making an offer on a property.
And it's not just your confidence in making an offer. It actually helps your agents be more confident working for you and working on your behalf when you have your ducks in a row that way. It's really difficult for us to be effective if we don't really know that you are actually have capacity to do this.
Just want to say I had a buyer offer on a property, and they submitted their pre-approval letter because we had a buyer flake out because of financing. So we asked for a pre-approval letter, and the pre-approval letter was for less than what the list price was that we were willing to accept. And so we just said, okay, we're not there yet financially, so you move on, essentially. Yeah, it was really helpful.
One more thing too on the difference of pre-approval and a pre-qualification. So pre-qualification, in 5 minutes, I can tell you based on your income and your down payment and your other monthly obligations, what you would qualify for a mortgage. But what I haven't done is I haven't reviewed your income documents to confirm your income. If you say, oh, it's 65,000, well, what happens if it's 63,000? That can affect the mortgage amount, as well as that credit check is very important as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also sometimes people have little skeletons in their closet, right? Like, oh, I forgot I own this other rental property that I didn't tell anybody about. Or I just bought a new truck.
Yeah, so the pre-qualification is really just a really surface level qualification. It doesn't actually dive in and do the deeper due diligence that's required to really confirm that this person is capable of buying. And there's actually a third level, because of course, even if you're pre-qualified, that doesn't mean you can just, let's say you're pre-qualified for $1 million. That doesn't allow you just to go out and make offers on properties for $900,000 properties and make them not subject to financing, right, Jen? Because
Well, the property that you want to buy has not been approved by the bank.
right, yeah. So there's almost
Yes.
3 levels to this, but
Mhm.
you know, as realtors, we work with folks that are pre-approved. Pre-qualified doesn't really mean a lot.
The only time you should be waiving financing really is if you are a 100% cash buyer.
Mhm.
Okay. To the moon, Alice. Be ready to act quickly. And what I mean is, if you want to sell your house right now before Christmas, you have to price it properly. And
Mhm.
what that means is, as a buyer, you have to get in quickly, because if somebody's willing to price their home well, you have to take advantage of it. So don't delay.
This is the season where, I mean, all throughout any season for real estate, buying and selling is very subjective. I mean, the decisions people make are often subjective. It's not a business case of, if these dollars work, we're going to do it. There's often emotional reasons for it. And I find in the dead of winter, if someone is listing their home right now, it's because they have their own internal motivation and need to sell. And just the fact that they have listed can be a bit of information for the buyer's agents to know, and the buyers to know that maybe there's some extra motivation here. Because a lot of people we talk to also say, well, we'd like to wait till the spring because we're not in a hurry and we feel like prices will be better in the spring. We're going to get more buyers attracted to the property, and it will be showing better because, you know, the birds will be singing and the flowers will be out, you know, snow on the ground and so forth. Longer days, drier.
Yeah.
So do be ready to act quickly, because if it is listed now, there's often a reason and there's some motivation, and you want to get ahead of that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, right now, sunset actually is 6 o'clock. Next week it'll
Mhm.
be 5. So,
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
and that just, it really impacts our ability to see properties in a good way as well, which means that people are maybe waiting till the weekend when they're off work, instead of where traditionally in summer, spring, we'd be going out in evenings with clients. And no, people will buy a home sometimes virtually sight unseen, but you really want to see a home in the light of day.
Yeah, and I just want to say, we do drive-by showings. So, if you want to be picked up from work, we can show you the property and take you back to work before your lunch is over. So,
That's
We
a
also
great
can do
idea.
video walkthroughs as well. So if there's
yeah,
a property you're interested in and you're not able to get to it in time, and I've sold properties based on a virtual showing for buyers that are not in Victoria, for example. And you know, you go through, you do a video call and you chat through the property and you show them everything that they need to see. And some people are comfortable enough making that offer, then they may come out during the condition period to actually view it.
yeah. And then streamlining the process of writing the offer, so getting it in quickly. We can prepare the paperwork before you actually even view the property. So if you want to make a quick decision, we can write up the paperwork, submit it right away. We got used to doing this during COVID. I don't know if you did.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
if there's a property a client's interested in, or you know, you're pretty clear that that is the property for the client, I immediately get my assistant working on prepping the offer, downloading all the documents, putting everything together so we're ready to go. And you know, if 3 out of 4 times that doesn't get written as an offer, it's still time well spent being prepared.
right. We can actually, if you're viewing a number of properties, we can actually just insert the property after. Get the contract going. Okay. The other thing is we can search for vacant homes. So,
We didn't actually talk about that number 3. We just talked around it. So do you want to go back? Yeah. I
Oh
mean, the
yeah,
whole
that's
point of
important.
that comment was, if you're working with an experienced agent, we tend to be able to, I mean, we've seen things happen in the past. We know like, well, things are likely to go in the future based on the experience we have. we are able to negotiate more effectively and also recognize perhaps some of the things that would be helpful in bringing the contract together. And it's not always about price or the dates. There can be more to it.
Right.
And
It's
Jen?
a stressful time, bottom line, right? When you're moving, when you're buying and selling, you're negotiating a new mortgage. So having the experienced circle of people around you, walking you through the process is so important.
okay.
Yeah, and also the benefit of a great realtor is that a realtor who is a full-time realtor will be looking at properties all the time, be able to put your purchase into perspective. So where does your home fit in the market that you want to buy?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And also writing good contracts. Just want to say.
Oh, so key. So key.
With clauses that actually work. Okay, looking
It's a
for
lost
vacant
art.
homes.
Yeah. Vacant homes in winter, they don't show as well generally. Often the heat is off, so the experience for the buyers isn't as positive. There's additional insurance costs. There's having to go check on the property repeatedly. It's a pain in the butt to try to sell a vacant home in some ways. In other ways, it's much easier than dealing with tenanted properties, for example. But this does show motivation, right?
Right. And also some people have to, because of tax reasons, especially if they're foreign sellers, they have to close before the end of the year. And so because they want to submit their taxes to get their rebate, otherwise they have to have a withholding tax on the property for another year till they submit their taxes again. So there is a lot of motivation to get out there and get it sold before the end of the year. And which speaks to the next one, which is flexible closing dates. So sometimes we're like, not sometimes, always we're negotiating time and money, right? So sometimes you can say, well, I can give you this time, but it's going to cost me a little more, or I can take it for this if we move this date here. So it all depends. Sometimes people's buying and selling dates don't jive, and so one party may be incurring a cost. Right?
And this goes back to some of the earlier conversation about being prepared. So, for example, I've got sellers who are buying other properties, and they have arranged for bridge financing if necessary, right? Because ideally, the buyer for the property that they're selling would provide them the same dates to line up to match up with the purchase that they're making. But if that's not possible, and they actually have to purchase their home purchase is going to close before their sale, then they're going to have the carrying costs of the bridge finance. So why are you laughing? So they're going to have the carrying costs of the bridge finance, and that carrying cost could be, like, for example, one of my recent clients, it's $4,000 a month. She'll be paying an interest to hold two properties, for example, because she had agreed to purchase without having yet her home sold.
Jen, do you have a comment on this?
Bridge financing, again, like, it's so important to explore that and explore what those costs are going to be, as bridge financing really does vary from one lender to another.
It's a great tool, and it gives some additional flexibility, which is really important to sellers. And it gives you that extra tool in your toolkit as a buyer to be able to negotiate something that you might save a lot of money simply because you were able to meet the seller's dates. Even if it costs you a little bit more in financing, it saves you.
And also, if you have two offers and one can meet the seller's date and the other one can't, you're just going to solve their problem. Like, you're in.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody keeps walking around behind you.
Oh yeah,
It's a
I think
ghost.
it's
It's a ghost.
Kim's mom.
yeah.
Okay, number have your down payment and closing costs ready. So make sure your money's in the bank and it's liquid, right? Because sometimes people who work with a bank, maybe like Tangerine or whatever, they have
Mhm.
their deposit tied up, or maybe they have it in a GIC, and it's hard to access that money. So just make sure it's free. Jen, do you want to comment on this as well? There's obviously lots of financial impacts of closing quickly, but do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's important in just talking with your mortgage broker that, okay, I always ask where, for the funds for your deposit and the remainder of your down payment, where is it coming from? Sometimes people borrow money off of a line of credit for their deposit because all their money is coming from the sale of their existing property or something like that. So it is important to have that discussion to avoid any unnecessary stresses.
So I have a question. When you have somebody purchasing a house, do you recommend that they get a line of credit with the purchase of the house, or does that get some people into financial trouble?
It depends. I mean, having a line of credit, I and speaking from my own personal experience, it's a never never plan. Really honestly, usually
Mhm.
we end up consolidating that amount on your line of credit at the next time your mortgage is up for renewal. So it's good to have if you're truly going to be using it for emergencies, or if you're going into retirement and you want to have um, uh, you know some emergency funds, that kind of thing, then yes, it's a good thing to set up when you're still employed and your income's
Mhm.
higher. But
I feel like this
it,
could be a whole subject one day.
it
It's about,
yeah, yeah,
the pros and cons of the line of credit and what you can use it for and how you could leverage it into buying other property, but also
yes,
the some of the pitfalls that you can get into if you're not really strategic and disciplined with your money. Um,
right,
it's a
exactly.
beautiful tool, but just like any tool, it needs to be used properly. So the down payment closing costs ready, this is number 6 that we're talking about. One of the things I find often is it's the deposit that can cause people a bit of a hiccup where they've been saying, I'm gonna find a home, I want to find a home, I want to find a home. And suddenly, and they haven't fully got all their ducks in a row. Maybe they did actually go and get not only pre-qualified but pre-approved for their mortgage, but they have some money in a GIC or there's something locked up and they don't actually have readily available cash. They find the property they want, they make an offer, it's got a quick condition period, and suddenly they need to come up with 20, 30, 40, $50,000 worth of deposit. So that's where that liquid money comes in, and being able to, or having money in your line of credit that you can pull from, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, and
So
just remember your house is not a bank.
it's
Yes.
not a bank, but it can be used as a tool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And your property transfer tax is in addition to your mortgage, so you do need that cash available.
Yes, that's not something you're financing. So you need to put
Yeah.
that on
Part of
top
your
of
closing
everything
costs.
else. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Okay. So this actually came up this week for me. Be open to minor compromises. So, you're not buying a new house usually. So just understand there are going to be things like that are going to move you forward in terms of your home, and there are things that you can work on in terms of your home. So if the paint needs redoing, then this is a minor cosmetic fix that can be done over the long term. If,
Mhm.
however, the roof is leaking, that is not minor and needs to be dealt with right away. So you have to
Mhm.
decide, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's important, right?
This also goes into, and I've had buyers coming up on this recently. Sometimes there's work to be done. The building inspection shows something. Either the lender is now focused on that thing and is going to have a harder time lending because they know that there's a large cost coming up, but also more importantly, or not importantly, but it's the insurers that are saying, you know what, we're not going to actually insure you unless you get this fixed, and this fixed. either before closing or within a week of closing. And those are really important things to account for and to have money set aside for and be actually prepared for. And if you can't get your trades together in time to do this work that might be required to upgrade your electrical system or what have you, this can put you in jeopardy. So that is important, but that is some of the times the things that we are negotiating with sellers that they will, pay for and fix before closing. Um, keep in mind that the paint color, like you find the perfect home, it's the great location, the great floor plan, but you don't like the paint color. I mean, that is not the reason to not buy the place. But
Well, usually if people say they don't like the paint color or they're responding to that, they're responding to something else. And that's just the excuse, I find. But the other thing is there are what may be seemingly small fixes like a hot water tank, which actually can be a major fix. So just understand if, from what I've been told from my own insurance company, is if your hot water tank goes and it's out of date and it's not covered by warranty, then your insurance may not cover the repairs. So just get that done.
we're living in a fine print world, folks. So,
That's so
be
true.
sure to really, understand all of the stuff and don't just take everything for granted that, hey, I have insurance, it's covered.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, number 8. We mentioned this early. Be prepared to view the property quickly because right now there are some good deals to be had. And so just get in there. I'm finding like 2 or 3 days in, I go and view a property. It's already had an accepted offer. So
And people are surprised. I find it really funny because people, I will list a home and it might get an offer in the first day or two. And then, the weekend comes and I'm getting calls from people and they're like, oh, it's already under contract. And, yeah, it can be. It's, when it's put out to market, it can sell. The minute it's put out to market, it's not a surprise that it might actually go quickly. And people, it's funny because people tend to say, well, I'll just wait and go see it on the weekend, or I'll wait and see it when it's convenient for me. And yet they tell you that they were really interested in that property and it was the top of their list. Well, why did you not contact your agent? Why didn't you get out there sooner?
yeah. And know your budget as well so that if you do want to make a quick decision that you know what your budget is for purchasing.
I want to comment. So this says text your agent a few times that work for you. Don't text your agent a few times.
Text a few times to your agent.
Yes. And then if you don't hear back in a reasonable time, then text again. Or call, escalate that one. If it's really important to you, you do want to try not just, try everything, smoke signals included, to get your agent's attention and get through there. But we should be, if you give us a few times that work for you, it will help us right away. There's nothing worse, Jane, like, got to train our clients on this, right?
I do. I know what
Yeah.
you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to view a property.
Oh, what property?
When are you available? Oh yeah,
Oh,
what property?
yeah, what property? When are you available? I'm available Sunday at 6. Okay, well, Sunday at 6 doesn't work for the sellers. Oh, well, I'm available Monday at 3. Okay, well, Monday at 3, I have an appointment.
Yeah.
I'm already booked. So just give us at least 3 times that work for you. And that will help us really quickly just book something and tell you, okay, we've got an appointment for Tuesday at 7. And the soonest available appointment as well, we are able to book.
I have helped people buy so many properties because when they say they want to view a property right away, I'm like, let's go. I'm doing the clap a lot today. But let's go.
I have clients just got a home, and they are so happy in this home. But we were out viewing a number of properties that day, and they just offhand said, "Well, there's this other property over on such and such street, but we've already seen a lot of properties. We don't want to bother you." And I looked it up, and it was vacant. And I said, well, I think maybe we can see if we can get an appointment really quickly. It says touch base and go, which means we can just go. Let's just go. We're in the neighborhood. We went, we saw it, they fell in love, they made an offer, we got it connected, it's all done. But I think if we hadn't moved quickly, it either would have, well, it would have sold to somebody else, or it was one of those properties that was a sleeper. It wasn't really on top of their list, but they were like, well, maybe. But the minute we got in, they liked it. So you do have to act quickly. The point is you have to act.
Hmm.
Just
I'm,
act.
sh-
Just
I'm sure ACT is an acronym for something.
yes,
Okay,
many things.
so this picture really spoke to me. I think it's hilarious because I
Mhm.
remember one time I was selling a house and they had a games room, and in the games room they had a Scrabble board and they had all these words like "great neighborhood,"
Yeah.
"buy now," "open to
Is that
offers."
was that in Gordon Head? I feel like I've seen that as well.
No,
I know
that
I've
was in
seen those.
Colwood. It was
Okay.
funny. Anyway, so yeah, so sometimes there are signs that people want to sell quickly. This is one of them. Yeah, and also look for keywords in listings like motivated or price to sell or move in by Christmas. And this just gives an indication of the motivation of the seller.
If you are going through a home and there's a man and a woman on title, and clearly um, half of the closets are empty, and it's only men's or women's clothing there, that's sometimes a sign.
Yes.
There are lots of sometimes, I mean, as we've said many times, changes are what motivate buying and selling. So it could be a change in health, it could be a change in relationship status, it could be a change in job, and there might be a job opportunity. I actually helped a person sell a condo downtown, and he could work from home, he could work anywhere. He was moving overseas, and at the end of the day, the price wasn't the most important thing to him. It was the convenience of a quick sale, and uh, and there may not have been actual signs of that, but it is something that there are people out there. Their motivation isn't just price, and again, they would be the kind of person who's like, well, I just want to list it now and get it sold in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there are people who want to be in homes in the next 2 weeks. So you
Yes.
can matchmake. And
Yes.
so, just to speak to a point, if you are in a divorce setting, borrow some clothes for your partner, put them in the closet, because it is a fairly easy tell. All
Yeah.
right, staying on top of the closing process, there may be documents that you need at the end that your lender may want, for instance, like your last paycheck stub, or perhaps a confirmation that something's being paid off. Do you want to talk about that, Jen?
Yeah, no, most definitely. You want to make sure what I do is I provide a list of any outstanding conditions that need to be met before the mortgage will fund. If any, ideally there isn't, but there can be, for example, if someone has gotten a new job or an increase to their pay, we have to provide a pay stub usually that shows that increased pay amount. And so I'm staying on top of that as well with the clients that here we want to make sure we have this no later than 10 days before the closing date. So to avoid any delays.
Yeah, and just to go back to the divorce thing, is you do need a separation agreement if you're not divorced, right? In place.
Yes. Yes. Make sure that there's yeah, we've been dealing with that recently with a potential seller, and the there's a party still on title, and yet not really involved, and so getting lawyers' advice and making sure it's all cleaned up before selling the property is important.
Most
Awesome.
definitely.
We've been talking from the perspective, a lot of when we're talking about the tells on a um, listing, and how this is a good time to buy and get a good deal, perhaps. But Jane, you did say that this is a time too when there are buyers who are, if they are motivated to do something by a certain time, whether that's because, again, they're on a buying trip and they're being relocated, or they are divorcing and they just need to get out of the home and into something new. There's that motivation as well. When it comes down to it, the negotiations between the parties is going to really depend on, how many other interested parties there are, and how much activity you've had on your listing, how many, what the market is doing, is it going up or down? These are all things that can happen within any market.
And I just want to say, as a seller, if you have concerns, call the agent up. We're not psychic listing agents. And as buyers, if you have concerns, call the agent up, because the open communication is so key to your success as a buyer and seller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sold a home one time on a relist because the other agent had not ever really talked to the sellers about a price reduction, and they had sat on market for a long time, and the sellers they were willing to reduce price at any point, but they never had that conversation, and they were actually motivated to sell. And the only reason that I was able to list that property was because the other agent had not been able to have that conversation with his clients around, hey, what's your motivation right now? Hey, do you want to make some changes or course corrections to your listing? This is what I see in the marketplace. This is what we need to do to get your home sold. Instead, they just listed it and waited. And there is some of that activity out there, and there are listings out there that it's worth having, the buyer to have that conversation with the seller in the sense of an offer where it's clear that property is overpriced. It's clear that it's been sitting a while, but it may be they just haven't really been ready to reduce price, whether that's because of conversation with the agent or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And well, we send updates every week, or every 2 weeks, but we want to just make sure that people are happy. And sometimes people have a hard time. They I'm not saying this based on stuff happening right now, but just for newer realtors out there, this is totally key to your success, staying in touch. Okay. Alrighty. So we are done for today. I thought that was a pretty good show.
That was awesome. Can I say one more thing?
Good show.
Yeah.
With the closing before Christmas, one big caution, if you want to, some people look for a closing date in between Christmas and New Year's, and it's definitely something you want to make sure that you've got a lawyer that is open between Christmas and New Year's, because that can be a challenge.
You're right. A lot shuts down as we approach Christmas, and definitely that space between Christmas and New Year's, a lot of people are on vacation.
Yeah. I mean, we always ask our clients to call the lawyer anyway to make sure they're not overburdened with cases, or, if they are on vacation, there's somebody there to help. And generally, conveyancers are doing a lot of the pre-work, but the lawyer has to be there to sign the paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Okay, let's, how can people get in touch with you, Jen? Lots of things today that we talked about regarding financing.
You bet. I'm at 250-217-4925. Email address is jen@jenlow.ca, and website is jenlow.ca.
Okay, and Andrew.
I just realized, I think I'm going to call this I don't know if he's got a haircut recently, but for Halloween, maybe I'm going as Ron Neal.
Oh.
It just occurred to me. Okay, you can reach me at 250-360-6106. Email info@andrewplank.com. Check out the website, andrewplank.com. Yes.
I think personally you look like Jesus. All right, and you can reach me at 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. Website is briarhillgroup.com, and you can check out these videos and more at victoriarealestateshow.com. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram as well. I'm at Realty Teacher _Remix_Victoria. Thank you, everybody. It's been so fun today, and my cheeks are hurting from laughing. See you next
Glad I could bring a little
Thursday.
joy.
We're going to be doing our monthly market update next Thursday. All right. See you later. Bye.
See you, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.